all of a sudden my stomach just started hurting tremendously. I was just bent over, doubled over in pain. And so they took me to the hospital because as you're about to watch this video, as a woman especially, I'm going to warn you ahead. Get your tissue ready. I'm going to tell you why I say you should get your tissue ready. As a mother, it's going to touch you. As a female, if you have passed through an abuse in Nigeria or anywhere in the world, this video is going to touch you. Why? Average girl in Africa, out of 8 out of 10 girls in Nigeria, or let me say 6 out of 10 child girls in Nigeria go through XXX abuse. This abuse does not come from strangers. It comes from trusted family members, friends to the family, neighbors to the family, neighbors on the streets. And unfortunately, most of these girl children do not get justice for what we are saying. I think I spoke about this thing yesterday in my live stream or 2 days ago, where I remember I mentioned a particular alpha in Nigeria who molested a 13-year-old girl. Her mother was one of the people who thought the alpha should go free, scot-free. If they make me president of that country, or if I have access to power in that country, all these molesters then go see shege. Anyway, so this story also reminds me, brings home to somebody I used to know. She's late now, may her soul rest in peace, whose daughter had something close to this story. And when she told her mom, her response was out of this world. The girl was a minor then, and the stepfather molested her. Instead of this woman fighting for her daughter, she fought her daughter for her husband. I also know a case back in Nigeria where a young lady, a young girl, minor too, I think she was about 15 or 16 then, got pregnant for her stepdad. And about the same time, the mother was pregnant for the same man too. And the woman went to abort for the lady. The lady today she should be in her 50s, childless, unfortunately. This also reminds me of a story of recent that I brought on social media, where I treated the issue on live, where I think the girl is about 12, 13, is pregnant for the stepdad, and the mother also was covering it until neighbor blew the whistle. I couldn't follow up the story, but I remember they arrested the man. I remember I followed up to the point where the man was arrested and was locked up to be taken to court. And that was when I said, okay, something is being done about it. Also, I am going to remind us of a story, as we're going to be listening to this story very soon. Very touching story. Might give some of you flashback, might give some of you PTSD, so I'm warning you ahead, like I said. Of another story of a woman who brought her story on social media in a women's group that she belonged to. She said her husband is having something to do with her daughter. And when she found out, instead of her doing the needful, exposing the man, taking the man to court, or even divorcing the man, to sort out things, she was so much in love. She brought the case on social media. This was when I found out that most of us women, we are the problem that women face. I repeat, most of us women are the problem most of us women still face. We are the enablers. The women in that group, to my shock, were telling this woman, advising her to chase her daughter away or take the daughter to somewhere else to live while she continues to live with her daughter. And tomorrow, that same woman will wake up and say the girl does not love her, or the girl is wicked, or the girl is this when she grows old. Don't let me talk too much. It's a long. Do not forget to click a like on the video as you watch, please. And if you are yet to be a subscriber, kindly help me to subscribe to this channel. But most importantly, kindly help me to click a like. Click a like, click a like, click a like, click a like. I'm watching you. Click that like button now. Have you clicked it? Okay, let's watch the video now. Thank you very much.
He would take my hand, my small hands, and put it on his, and then he would move his up and, massaging it up and down until he reached. And then my response would be, well, what is that? And he would say, taste it. And we would go in the shower and we would take a shower together every day. This was normal. This was my routine every single day. I was still wearing diapers when my stepfather started engaging me with. My mom would leave for work about 6 o'clock, and my older siblings were in school. So from Monday through Friday, I was left with my stepfather alone in the apartment. And what would happen was, as soon as he assured the fact that my mother and my siblings were gone, he would get in the middle of the bed and take off all of his clothes. And he had burns on his chest. And so being a young person, a child, a baby even, I was curious and would touch his chest, and he would say, oh, it's okay, it feels good, continue to touch my chest. And then he would take my hands and he would move my hands slowly down his torso to his midsection. When summer came, then the story got broader. One day we're playing and I hear him say, it's time for you to go in the back room. Go in the back room, okay? Go in the back room. When I go in the back room, my brother and my sister are there. And my stepfather's famous line was, if I do one of you, I do all of you. And my brother, I'll never forget the look on his face. The look on his face was devastation. And my brother said, no. Whatever you're doing to her, do me. And so my brother says, Sharon, whatever you do, don't come down the hall. And I promised him, but of course I lied. And to my dismay, when I went down the hall and peeked through the door with the crystal handle, this man was violating my brother. And again, this went on for a very, very long time. My sexual abuse, or my specific sexual abuse, went on from 2.5 until 9 years old. My stepfather was forcing himself inside of me, a little girl. And so as a young person, I had arthritis because my hands would swell from him every day. And I would tell my mother, and her response to that was to pour green alcohol and Bengay on my hands, rub my hands, and she would wrap them in ace bandages at night. But never once did she decide to leave this man, and she stayed with them. They were married for 55 years. I remember around the time I was 8 or 9, and I started having bad stomach pain. I remember me and my sister was outside playing horsey, and one day all of a sudden my stomach just started hurting tremendously. I was just bent over, doubled over in pain. And so they took me to the hospital because the pain would not stop. And when they examined me, I had a tubal infection. And the doctor said, for a fallopian tubal infection. And they said the only way that she could have had this type of infection is that she's having sex. So my mother looks at me very sternly and say, you better not say anything. It was the early 1970s. I'm just another little black girl, other little brown girl. And so they did not do their duty. They did not report this violation. And I was sent back home. I've been picked on all of my life. After school at 2:35, me and would walk across to the grass, and the kids would say, we're going to beat up Cheryl Jones. And it got so frequent that I would just go lay in the grass, and they would jump on top of me and beat me up and slap me around. Then one day, this girl, she had just moved from the Bronx, and she came to our school, and they said, oh, beat up Cheryl. She's the girl to beat. She's easy to beat. She won't fight back. And so that's what I did. And of course, I went in my spot where I laid down in the grass, and she jumped on me. And my brother had been hearing about me getting beat up on a regular basis. And he said to me, Sharon, you got to fight. So I had 3 names. I had Sharon, Cheryl, and now I'm Beloved. Cheryl was my birth name. Sharon was my nickname. And Beloved is the woman that I became on August the 10th, 2021, I went and changed my name legally because I never felt beloved. I never felt cherished or adored or treasured or any of those things. And I knew that every time that name would go out into the atmosphere, I was changing my destiny. So that day, after my got off of me, I heard my brother's voice in my ear. You got to fight back. And so as she began to walk into Bowman Towers, I tapped her on the shoulder and I said, listen, my brother said, if I don't beat you up, he's going to beat me up. And needless to say, I put a whooping on her that day. Honey, I scratched and punched and scratched and punched and jumped on top of her. And it was taking all of my energy to fight back like this. I was like, I was dealing with violence in my home. I didn't want to be violent toward anyone else. And then she had a little scratches and a little bit of blood. And then her mom called my mom. And I got a whooping for defending myself that day. So it was like almost in vain. Another thing that was very interesting is that my mother was a cleaning fanatic. And so I remember one Saturday we're cleaning the apartment and I think one of them said something about their menstrual cycle. And I said, I know where that comes from. When, a girl bleeds out of her behind. And my mother said, what did you say? And I said, I know why mama's always mad. She's mad because she thinks her husband is having with you. And my mother said, what did you say? And this look of rage, I mean, like she transformed into a whole different human being. And she began to chase me around the apartment. We had bunk beds. And she got a belt and I jumped atop of the bed and I slid down the back and I ran past her. And as I'm running, my sister that's closest to me, for some reason, and she said, oh, she ran into the shower. She's in there. And I remember I ran in there and I was now cornered in the shower. And my mother grabbed me and body slammed me in the shower. And she jumps on top of me. She is choking the life out of me. The veins are bulging in her neck. And the veins are bulging in my neck and there's whelps all over me and she's scratching me and she's beating me with a broomstick and she had with one hand and she is choking me and her full body weight is on top of my chest. And as my mother is choking me with one hand, she reaches up and grabs a hammer, all steel from handle to top. And as she jumping and grabbing and coming down to hit me on the head, my oldest sister jumps on her back and says, you're going to kill her. And she says, that's my intention. I'm going to do this today. And then my mother and my sister are tussling and they're rolling and things are knocking and breaking. And I have just enough room to get up from under my mother's clutch. And I am breathing and heavily and I'm bleeding and my clothes are torn and I'm tattered. And by now we have an audience to the back door of our apartment. People are coming and trying to figure out what in the world is going on. And my mother and my sister is tussling and we had a neighbor. Her name was Miss, and she screams at my mother, what in the world is wrong? You're going to kill your child over a nigga. And so she grabs me and pulls me out from the midst. And by that time, the police have arrived. And they're looking at my mother. My mother is slobbering from the mouth. I mean, just like a wild animal. When we moved across town, across the city to a very nice neighborhood, to a nice, decent neighborhood, I remember being afraid because I remembered that now my eldest sister wasn't going to be there. And who was going to be there to protect me? So I'm sitting there at the edge of the bed and like clockwork, my stepfather comes in and he grabs my breast and I jump up and I run into the kitchen and I said, he touched my breast. And my mother says immediately, I'm so sick of it. And she says, so she calls him, come here. And he comes in and she says, Sharon says that you touched her breast. I don't give a good what she says. She says, then they go in the bedroom and come back out and my mother goes back to cooking and I'm standing there in the hallway like, what's up? Like, when we leaving? When are we packing up? We can go. We can even go back and live with daddy. And she says, just go upstairs. I never let her touch me again. She betrayed me in the worst way. I no longer trusted her. And so I became, I guess, somewhat disrespectful. I had no more honor for her. I remember one day after having my son My stepfather was still working in the school system, but by now he had been demoted because he was stealing things from the school. He had been demoted because he was unlocking doors, classrooms, and allowing basketball players to go in there and have sex with their girlfriends, and so he could watch them. One day, we get a knock at the door. The police knocks at the door, and he says, "Is here?" That's all I needed to hear. I said, "Come on to the door, because your husband done molested somebody's child, and that going to jail today." It was all over the news, daily news, everything. My mother had a daycare, a thriving daycare. She lost her business. She lost everything. He had the little boy at the school that he had been demoted to, and the little boy reported it while I'm at school. And she has my first son. My mother would call me every morning at 6 o'clock, and she would curse me. "I don't know why you at college. You are no good mother. You are nothing. You never gonna be nothing. Why are you at school?" She would just go on, and this, it happened so much that I would be crying on the phone, and they could hear, my roommates could hear, my dorm mates could hear my mother screaming at me through the phone. And so after a while, they recognized who was calling, and so they would come to the door and they said, "Well, what do you want to do? You want us to answer? You gonna take the call, or you're not gonna take the call?" I said, I'm not gonna take the call." They said, "Don't worry about it. I got you, because I already heard your mother. You don't worry. We got you, girl." So finally, she convinces me to come home because I'm a no good mother. And so I come home and I'm writing this poetry. I'm writing, and my mother takes my son and throws him on the bed, and she picks up my poetry and she begins ripping it to shreds. She just takes the notebook and she throws it on the ground and she's ripping. "You're never going to be nothing. You're not anything." And so what I recognize is that my mother was very jealous of me. 21 years later, after getting out of domestic violence, relationship, marriage, I went back to college. I got a bachelor's degree, and then I got a master's degree. I got an honorary doctorate. I lobbied with Maxine Waters and Joe Biden, Lynn Rosenthal. They invited me to the Capitol to tell my story before Congress people there. As parents, it is our responsibility to protect our children at all costs. In my closing, as I've raised my children the best that I could, and I fled a domestic violence marriage. And I did not want my children to see their mother murdered. And we were on our way to see my mother. And my oldest son has always been a defender of us. He said, "You don't have to keep torturing yourself by going to visit her, by being subject to her meanness." And so I turned my car around and I drove back up the road. Sometimes I hurt my own self. Sometimes I wasn't always careful and loving to myself. But I've matured and I've healed and I've evolved. And I'm doing my best every day to show up as my best self. And I'm thankful. I'm very, very, very thankful for my life now. I've been a Haiti missionary. I've traveled to Germany, and I'm writing books and traveling and thanking God for another opportunity to live on the other side of pain. I never thought that I would even live to be 50 years old. And here I am on the other side. So I'm very, very thankful. It's time for something.
I told you. I said this video is going to touch you. I warned you. Because I've seen similar story. I've heard similar stories where a mother will fail to protect their children from stepfathers. Many have gone through it. Many are still going through it. But how many are going to be strong to tell the story the way this woman? Oh, by the way, her name is Beloved Dillard. That is her name. Her mother is late, like she said, but the trauma lives with her forever. Yeah, she's living it day by day, like many people. But how many people are able to say it out to get the necessary therapy they need? This is the story of many African children, the story of many African Nigerian children. that are still going through it till now. The society is not protecting them. And where they are supposed to even get protection from, which is the mother. If your mother failed to protect you in life, then who do you trust? If a mother fails, if the child is telling the mom this is what is going on, and instead of believing your child, you turn that daughter to enemy. This I have seen played out. I intervened in one. I can't forget. The woman is late now. I won't stop saying. But the trauma stays with the girl forever. I remember telling her that, why do you think your daughter is lying? Why do you think this girl was lying? Is lying. She said, she's lying. She doesn't like the man. I say a child cannot just wake up to hate a man you bring up that you want to marry or you marry to. Something must have gone wrong. And she's saying something to you. She refused to heed. And I know what that thing did to her daughter. So many others. Just like the other story. The one that, this one was even on social media. She brought it on social media. I remember we screenshot those their conversation and put it out. Many of them went to hide their profile on that day. And we're saying, are these mothers for real? They said, leave the girl. Leave the girl. She's an Ashawo. They were even calling that girl name. That she's an Ashawo girl. She's the one enticing your husband. I say, what? A minor enticing a full-grown man. And this made me remember another story of a pastor. The video should be on my YouTube channel. I'm not sure of Facebook, but I'm very sure it's on my YouTube channel. A pastor in Nigeria that was molesting an 11-year-old girl got the girl pregnant. Was she 11 or 14? I think she was between 11 and 14. I can't remember precisely. And this girl got pregnant. The pastor told the congregation that it was the girl that was enticing her, luring in. And he had something that the girl forced him to. And the wife of that pastor believed. Until that girl saw my video and spoke to me, then I came out to call out the man. When the embarrassment was too much, they begged me to pull the video down. I said, no, until you go and confess how this thing happened to the family. Of course, the girl by then had a daughter from that pregnancy. The daughter was about 11 years old then. So the girl should be about 14, 15 now. So the lady should be about close to 30 now. So the lady, I said he has to. So the pastor had to go and beg the family, apologize, and confess. I did not put the video down. The woman cried, say, this is Daisy Grace. This is a disgrace. She's from a reputable family. This is a big embarrassment. I said, but you were supporting your husband. That your husband, how can you believe you have a daughter? She said, yes. So if your daughter tell you now that an elderly man have something to do with your daughter, you will blame your daughter for the man. She kept quiet. That is the situation of Olori. I call them Olori Buruku Obìnrin. And we Lady Ibu. Sorry for my people who don't understand Yoruba. I call such women Lady Ibu Obìnrin. Because if you do not trust your child, who else should trust your child? If you cannot do findings when your child, your daughter is telling you, mommy, this is going on, just like the case of this woman, look at how she went through because her mother refused to listen to what she was saying. Look at how, as a baby, that is how some men are. They are B-E-A-S-T. Some, it is their own father that will be doing it. And the mother will know. Remember a case that was brought to Barrister Olumide, where a woman, the husband was having sex with her nephew until this girl committed pie on herself. They covered it until that man now started sleeping with her own daughter that she had for him. No, the man slept with her daughter, which happens to be the stepdaughter of the man. The woman did not listen until that girl by herself. After that, the man started sleeping with her own children that she asked for the man. 3 of them. If you are following me, you will remember we played the voice note of the man, where the man was they were trying to get confession from him, statement. And he confessed with his own children, 3 of them. The first one, the second one, the third one. His own children, not another person's children now. Please, when your children are telling you something, when you see your child, they don't like your husband, there is a reason. Oh, don't, because of husband, lose the love of your children later in life. Please don't forget to press the like button on this video. This is another eye-opening video for we parents, for we mothers and fathers. It could be your neighbor. It may not be the father, your neighbor. Please stand up for your children. Don't leave them traumatized for life. This lady might come out and say she has forgotten and forgiven. And can she truly forget? She's in her 50s now. Look at how she's relaying this story. Even right from when she was still a minor, she could still remember every details. That is how it is with people who go through abuse. They don't forget those details. And they suffer the PTSD for life. Example is Kemi Oluloyo. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to click the like button. Until I come your way again, I am Auntie Aduni. Love you always. Thank you very much.